Bad news in the battle for freedom of speech and the separation of mosque and state. Today, the Supreme Court of Canada refused to hear an appeal of the defamation judgment against me brought some 8 years ago by Khurram Awan. Awan is the former youth president of the Canadian Islamic Congress. If you've been following my case, you'll know that one of the reasons I lost was that the judge ruled that calling Awan an anti-Semite was defamatory. But Awan used to be the youth president of an anti-Semitic group, the Canadian Islamic Congress. Back then, that group was led by a notorious anti-Semite, Mohammed al-Masri. He went on national TV to declare that any adult in Israel is a legitimate target for terrorism.
Totally innocent are the children, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay? But they are not innocent if they are military in civilian clothes. Okay?
What about women?
The same, if they are women in the army.
Anyone over the age of 18 in Israel is a valid target.
Anybody above 18 is a part of the Israeli popular army.
Everyone in Israel and anyone and everyone in Israel, irrespective of gender, over the age of 18 is a valid target.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an anti-Semite. That group even called for the legalization of terrorist groups like Hamas and Hezbollah. But the judge ruled it was defamatory for me to call their former youth president anti-Semitic, because Awan denied he was in court and said he knew nothing about the organization's infamous misconduct. The judge ruled I did not prove it was factually true, even though Awan himself testified at trial that he agreed it's reasonable for people to call certain statements by the Canadian Islamic Congress anti-Semitic. Well, I appealed that trial judgment and I lost. And now the Supreme Court won't hear a further appeal. And so now I have to pay $80,000 to Awan, plus his legal fees. That's obviously a blow to me financially, but what worries me more is that a legal precedent has now been set. If you call a leader of an anti-Semitic group anti-Semitic, you can be sued for defamation. That cool breeze you're feeling right now, that's called libel chill. Going over every newspaper columnist, every political activist, every Jewish student or Christian student on campus. There is outrageous anti-Semitism on university campuses these days, by the way, and it's not illegal, of course. But what is now illegal is calling members of those anti-Semitic campus groups anti-Semites. That's the law, and I've got to pay $80,000 for breaking it. This isn't the first time that Awan has used the courts as a weapon to fight enemies of Islam. You'll recall that Awan was a law student who took the great Mark Steyn to not one, not two, but 3 different human rights commissions for hate speech, all because Steyn wrote this cover story about Muslim expansionism in the West. Well, Steyn was proven right, of course, as the weekly terrorist attacks in France and the UK show. And it was my critical coverage of Awan's lawfare against Steyn that caused Awan to target me with his lawsuit. Well, nearly 11 years has passed since Steyn first wrote that Maclean's essay in October 2006. Awan sued me in 2009. That's a long time. And that battle is over. But what is Khurram Awan up to now? Well, he left Toronto, got married, settled down, started a family. He's working for a law firm in Regina. But he's not done with using our Western courts to promote his Islamic agenda. Just 6 weeks ago, Awan filed this stunning lawsuit against his neighbor in Regina. Now, most of it is just a legal squabble that neighbors sometimes have. Awan and his wife, Ayesha Ahmed, claim that there are, quote, approximately 3 trees, the branches of which overhang the plaintiff's backyard. And some of those neighbors' branches snapped and fell. Well, the lady who owns the neighboring house, by the way, is 77 years old, and she actually just lost one of her daughters on Mother's Day, if you can believe it, but that hasn't slowed Awan's lawsuit down. Just yesterday, she got another threatening email. So maybe this grieving granny is not doing all the gardening she should. I mean, she's 77. But Awan and his wife have sued her. There's also a squabble about barking dogs. The whole thing is a mess. So Awan's neighbor put in a surveillance camera. I don't know exactly what's going on. The facts haven't been proven yet. Here's a picture of the backyard of the 77-year-old woman's home. I can imagine that some branches do fall off from time to time, but it doesn't look particularly bad to my eyes. I mean, to tell you the truth, this all sounds like a couple of arguing neighbors. I don't care, there's no news there. So hard words back and forth, But Awan is a lawyer with lawyer friends. So he got another lawyer named Ahmed Malik to draft up a lawsuit against his neighbor, demanding $25,000 for the branches. Another $20,000 because that granny, she put in a security camera and a sign to that effect. Punitive damage of $15,000. So what, we're up to $60,000 now? Oh, plus what Awan claims is his lost property values. But who knows? Maybe that 77-year-old granny really is evil, and maybe she is really being mean about the branches or whatever. It seems punitive, it seems like bullying, but it could be legit, I don't know. But look at this. Look at this. I am quoting from the lawsuit that Khurram and Awan and his wife filed. So they don't like the branches or the security camera or the sign, fine. But look at this. Breach of privacy. The sign is accompanied with a large Christian cross. I'm quoting from the lawsuit here. And there's a picture of the cross. Pardon me, what's that doing in a lawsuit? I thought this was a squabble over branches and barking dogs. What's with the cross business? Oh yes, let me read from the lawsuit. Violation of human rights. The plaintiffs plead further that the posting of the sign, the video camera, and the cross in a location where they are aimed at the plaintiffs is an attempt to intimidate and discriminate against the plaintiffs who are visible minorities and visible Muslims. Say what? I mean, I get that you're fighting over branches and dogs, but you're playing the race card, the religion card, but you're the one suing the granny over her religious symbol. Oh yes, they hate crosses, the Awans. They actually wrote that the cross was aimed at them, like it was a gun or something. Here's more from their lawsuit. A further cross, the second cross, was observed by the plaintiffs in the defendant's backyard on or around April 13th. Yeah, here's another cross, just to be clear. It is absolutely on the 77-year-old neighbor's property. That's not what's upsetting the Awans. They say that by merely having the cross, the neighbor is, get this, she's racist. Oh yeah. Here's what Khurram Awan and his lovely wife Ayesha Ahmed, here's what they are asking the court to do. This is one of their demands at the end of the lawsuit. Again, I don't really care about the branches and the security camera and the barking dogs. Those are normal quarrels. I don't care. That's not politics, that's not in the public interest. But look at this. Awan and his wife demand this. An injunction ordering the defendants to permanently remove the cross or alternatively to permanently relocate it to an appropriate part of the defendant's home, unquote. I couldn't believe this. I mean, surely this wasn't real. Is this a real lawsuit? Well, I called up Awan's lawyer, Ahmed Malik, and he confirmed it was. Oh, but Awan and his wife, they're open to a negotiated settlement. Really? Really. And that settlement proposal happens to include a clause demanding that the neighbor remove her crosses, I swear to God. Now, I don't know who's to blame about the barking dogs or the branches falling. I don't care. But only a bully would use a lawsuit to try to get a 77-year-old woman to move a Catholic cross off her own backyard property. The same bully who was the youth president of the anti-Semitic Canadian Islamic Congress. The same bully who took Mark Stein to 3 human rights commissions. The same bully who just won $80,000 from me in court. And this bully has learned a lesson today, hasn't he? That the best way to wage a jihad against the West isn't through violence like terrorism. Are you kidding? The best way to wage a jihad against the West is peacefully, by using our own laws against us. A human rights kangaroo court against Mark Stein, censorious defamation laws against me, and just plain old suing a 77-year-old lady for having a Catholic cross on her deck. What next? Suing the other neighbors over Christmas lights? Yeah, Khurram Awan. He's still the bully he always was, isn't he? But now, he's moved on to little grannies. Look, I've got to pay Awan his $80,000. I have no other choice. And I'm going to pay that from my own funds. I don't think I could ask anyone else to help with that. If you want to help me with my legal fees, though, I'd be grateful for your help there. I still have to pay my lawyer. You can do that at standwithezra.ca. And once I raise enough to cover my own legal costs, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send a check to that 77-year-old granny to help her cover her legal fees. Not for the branch's business or the barking dogs, but because no one should be sued for having a cross on their property. This is Canada, not Pakistan. If you can help, go to standwithezra.ca. If you want to fight for freedom of speech and the separation of mosque and state, please go to standwithezra.ca.